is The Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Jamie.
And we love movies.
Oh, God.
Every time I say that, every time we both scream that together, I get excited and I love it.
Yeah, because we love movies.
It's like our
more
Wonder
and
Twin
more.
powers activate.
Our Wonder Nerd powers
better.
activate instantaneously. So we had a lot of things we're talking about today. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
First, why don't you go through the
Yeah,
the list
first we're
there.
going to talk about It's doing well in the movie theaters.
It is.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
Yeah, surprising. We also are going to scold ourselves in a second, but we're going to watch the new Birds of Prey trailer. This is the new film that's entering the DCU, the DC universe. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Also, a little bit of Star Wars. What would a
lot
Hub
of bit
on
of
Hollywood episode be without Star Wars?
It wouldn't be much of an episode at all, would it?
No.
No. Hang on.
Yes.
I'm so tired. Hang on one second. I just got struck. Oh, God.
That's no moon.
That's no moon.
In case you,
It's a space station.
Yeah, in case you've been living under a rock lately, Jamie's pregnant, and so
it's a space baby.
it's a space baby.
It's a fun shirt if you're listening to us on the podcast.
Yeah, a lot
over
of
my belly.
Skywalker, Star Wars news, so that we're gonna get to.
Yeah, the rise of Skywalker, excellent,
and we have a movie review, of course.
And one movie review.
Late Night, 2019. It was written by Mindy Kaling of The Office fame, as well as The Mindy Project, her first film that she has written. So we'll be talking about that later.
But you know what I want to talk about first?
What do you want to talk about?
Your shirt too.
Oh yeah, my shirt,
we talked
Seinfeld,
about
of course.
that.
There you go.
Woo!
Got to show love to one of the greatest comedians of all time. Really? You're not a big Jerry Seinfeld fan?
No, did I not reveal this to you ahead of time? I'm sorry. I mean, yay, Seinfeld.
No, I need to hear this. So what's the beef?
I don't know. I don't identify with it. I don't think they're good people. I mean, but they're funny.
Do you? Oh, yeah, let me ask this. Have you seen the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yes.
Do you
and
love
that
those
I
people?
love that.
Those people are like the rated R version of what Seinfeld is. It's pretty much the same thing. They're the worst of the worst people, but you just can't help but like them because at the end of the day, you kind of want to say what they say too. Yeah.
Well, you need the rated R for part of it. I guess makes it funner for me. I just don't like how what's her name? The
Elaine?
I don't like how she. Yeah, it's the 80s, I guess.
Julie Louise Dreyfus. You don't like her? America's sweetheart.
The shoulder pads are just
it's a
too much.
Product of the
It's
time.
Too much. I guess it is the product of the time.
It's
James
funny
hates me now.
I won't say that.
He won't admit it.
No. But it's funny because as a kid, when it was still on in the 90s, of course I was like 7, below 10 years old. And so I had known it was a very popular show because it was always on, but I thought it was so boring because all they do is talk. I didn't get it until afterwards, until I grew up and then started watching it again on replay. And it's a great show.
All right, maybe I'll give it a shot.
Jerry
I haven't
Seinfeld's
watched it
you.
in 10 years.
Anybody
so
who talks bad of Seinfeld, Jerry, he somehow hears about it.
Oh, God.
So expect a knock on your door.
No.
Imagine.
No,
what's the deal with you not liking
I think
Seinfeld?
I'd rather like this guy to show up than Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, you can reason with it.
Can you?
But what you can't reason with is the popularity. I don't know.
Yeah, the popularity of it. So it is doing a fantastic job in the theaters right now. We're 2 weeks in?
Yeah.
We're 2 weekends in. It's already made over $100 million domestic. More than $100 million foreign, so it is raking in the cashola. And this is all well and good, James, but sometimes on the Hub on Hollywood,
we're not perfect.
We're not perfect people.
We don't walk on water.
We don't. That would be really cool, though.
Yeah.
I think if you go to MIT, you could design probably a pair of shoes.
Focus.
Anyways, so we're not perfect, and sometimes we forget things. Sometimes we might forget the nerd card question.
The wicked nerdy question
the
week.
Yeah, the wicked nerdy
Which
question.
we got. We didn't forget either.
We didn't forget that
Wait
either.
around to the end of the show. It'll be there.
Exactly. It's coming.
Don't be worried.
It's coming. Yeah.
But
totally.
So.
And sometimes you forget that Stephen King lives in Maine. It happens, James.
In New England.
It happens.
And with us being the hub on Hollywood, it is our duties to point out all the cool movies and people from
Yeah.
New England.
So
And we
this
dropped the
is-
ball. But you know what?
This is a public flagellation.
We're owning up to
So
it. We apologize. This is our public apology to
But you know what, James? I have an excuse. Okay, I've got pregnancy brain. What's your excuse?
My excuse is that I'm not from the East Coast. I'm from the West Coast, from sunny California.
That works. That's
And
right.
so that's not a good excuse, not a great one, but I'll use it.
Yeah, we're both at fault here.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's really great because it is also a local product.
Yeah.
Because Stephen King is our guy. He was born in Maine, lifelong Mainer, Mainonite. Maine. Okay, Annie, I'm sorry. I'm continuing to dig the hole for myself against the people of Maine. But yes, it continues to do.
It's doing well.
Job.
It's not outpacing chapter 1. Because when chapter 1 came, it was like a lightning in a bottle kind of a thing. And even with the mixed reviews, still, it is doing well. I know I was on the ball on the balloon last week on whether to recommend this one or not. I said if you did enjoy the first one, chapter 1, I think you will enjoy this one. This one is not without its faults, but I think you can get by with it. Yeah, but definitely it doesn't. I don't think it does better than the first. Yeah.
And since last week, I've braved seeing bits and pieces of it. And while I am a supreme chicken, this actually seems like something I might be able to watch and be okay with because it's just so silly.
Yeah,
it's not in the realm of reality to the extent that I think it will traumatize me. So I may give it a
eat before. Yeah, because there are some.
You're talking me back out of it, James.
It's not as scary as the first one. However, this film has more squeamish, more. I don't know.
Yeah, I did read something about they said the opening scene was a little too
that one
violent.
Was the opening scene will it puts you right in the film. It doesn't play around.
Okay.
But chapter 2, it's still in theaters. It's going to be out there for a bit. So check it out if you enjoy the first one. Check it out.
Yeah. And another film taking some pot shots. You might say at it
one thing,
in order to self-promote, cross-promote.
Yeah, right before I saw it last week, and I forgot about this because it happened for a quick 10 seconds right before the film started. There's a new movie, a new DCU movie we mentioned in the beginning of the episode, Birds of Prey, and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn coming out in 2020. And they came out with a trailer last week, but right before the movie they had Harley Quinn with a baseball bat punching some or hitting some red balloons, poking fun at it. And speaking of that trailer, we have it right here in front of us.
Yeah, I have not seen this whole thing.
I've only seen the first maybe 10 seconds about it, but I haven't seen the rest of it either. So want to watch it?
Yeah, let's do it.
We don't have to. We can. We don't. I'm kidding.
Would you just play the video?
Okay, let's watch this. Birds of Prey coming out in 2020.
Excellent. Let's see. Warner Brothers Pictures.
There's some balloons.
And you've got some balloons flying by the logo there. DC.
Yeah.
More balloons.
And this is Warner Brothers.
An exorbitant amount of balloons now flying by the. Okay, we got Harley Quinn walking up here.
Is it Harley Quinn? Is it? Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah. Bum.
I'm so fucking over clowns.
Kind of
I guess we got the international. Yep.
And also because she has dumped the Joker, hasn't she?
Now we got the international trailer, so that's why you're looking at a different language. And these are the Birds of Prey: Huntress, Canary, Black.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with these.
I know of them.
Characters.
I know of them through the animated series of the Justice League, and so they are like Justice League Unlimited. That's when they have hundreds of superheroes.
Yeah.
And so that's when I saw more of Huntress and Black Canary. The synopsis of it is after splitting with the Joker, which I love. I love that description right off the bat. After splitting with the Joker, Harley Quinn joins superheroes Black Canary, Huntress, and Renee Montoya to save a young girl from an evil crime lord. And so, so when you have these bad, these villains turning good, like the anti-hero, I guess that's the direction they're going with Harley Quinn. And I love that they're just dumping. It seems like they're dumping, like Harley Quinn is, the Joker. Because I don't know about you, but I wasn't crazy about Jared Leto's version.
Yeah, no, I wasn't either. I think there were a lot of things about it that were kind of problematic, and the way that she was portrayed in the first movie was almost two-dimensional. It wasn't you could tell it wasn't written by a woman. You know what I mean? I think DC's got that penchant for going dark, but not necessarily having like the depth of character to support it or whatever. So no, I'm very happy, as at least for the future of DC, of the DCU, that they've decided to give Jared Leto the boot and do something that focuses on Harley Quinn, which is awesome. Because. Yeah, but now we've got another Joker movie coming out, and I have some problems with that one, too.
Do you really? The new one with Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah, with Joaquin Phoenix. As incredible an actor as he is, and I've read some criticism, and I kind of agree with it, that, you know, no one wants to feel empathy for this character, especially kind of in this day and age where you've got real-life shooters and stuff like that. You don't want to see, you know, why his fall, you know, to madness and murder and all of this stuff. You don't want to empathize with this character. Oh, people were mean to him. And so that's why he's, you know, legitimized in his action of all of this crime and killing people and stuff like you don't want to legitimize that kind of thinking nowadays. But then again, I haven't seen the whole movie. So I don't know how they actually do it. And to be fair, yeah, I would like to see it. I would need to see it in order to know whether or not that's a valid or not criticism. But I can see the point why people would be worried about it. But as far as the substance, like the actual trailer for that film goes, of course, Joaquin Phoenix is unbelievable. What do you think? Well,
Joaquin Phoenix, he's one of the best actors working right now. Like, he literally physically changed his own body to look like this weird this
really
different version.
Gets deep into character.
Yeah, and then this film is getting already a lot of buzz, already a lot of award buzz at the, I believe it was the Venice Film Festival. It already won one of the top prizes there, and that award show is one of the precursors for our own award season for the Oscars. And so I think this the movie looks great. I was always on board. After Jared Leto's version, I was like, okay, you know what? Let's try every version of the Joker then. Let's try everything. But yeah, I think Joaquin Phoenix brings something. Again, obviously we haven't seen the film yet, but I think it's a great direction. And I think it also complements, if you think about it, Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker too. Everybody says, you know, right off the bat, Heath Ledger, that's the Joker that they now envision. That's the version that they love. And, you know, that's when we talked about Jack Nicholson's Joker, his version, for the longest time nobody could see. For the longest time nobody could see another version of that Joker until Heath Ledger came. And so now Joaquin Phoenix, he's adding his own mix to it. I'm excited for it. Yeah.
But no, for me, no one can beat Heath Ledger, but we'll see.
And
with this film.
And I've heard some mixed reviews, but for the most part, I'm hearing positive stuff. But I've heard the concerns that you've raised as well. I think it's always best to just wait till the movie comes out until we judge it. Yeah, and see for yourself. Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, and so So this is the Hub on Hollywood. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. We are on YouTube. And I think, can we talk about it? Can we talk about where we may be transitioning soon?
I think we can talk about it. We're very excited here on the Hub on Hollywood because we're getting picked up by...
You love that horn.
I love that horn.
We're getting picked up by
iHeartRadio,
the app that that everybody you've probably seen the commercials or somebody you've heard about it somewhere. iHeartRadio app. The podcast is going to be on there soon.
Yeah, so it will be available there. So if you would like to take us on the go and listen to us while you are driving or working or whatever you are doing. You can look for us on the iHeartRadio app under the Hub on Hollywood.
Yeah.
Or if you are already listening to us on iHeartRadio and you would love to see our beautiful faces and our beautiful posters behind us and our T-shirts and all of that.
We didn't do this for nothing. So, go check it out. We're on YouTube.
Check us out on YouTube, the Hub on Hollywood as well. And it's really exciting. And we're going to keep talking about what we love. And thank you all. Mwah. Okay?
Yeah. Now with that...
that being said...
Well, I think we've already covered DC Universe. I feel like with this new film, with Birds of Prey, and right after Shazam came out, I feel like the DC Universe is going in a different direction, a much lighter direction, which is what they really needed.
Yeah, I think so.
I think... If I appreciate Zack Snyder's vision for Man of Steel and the following Batman versus Superman, and I appreciate where he wanted to go. After Marvel was very colorful and could be very lighthearted. I appreciate that, but I don't think they landed it. I don't think they were going in the right direction with the dark and gritty.
Yeah, they just went a little too far.
Yeah, so this is a good audible. This is a good change of play, a good change of pace too. I think. That's one of the reasons why people love comics in general, because, it can get really dark and real and be metaphors for real life. But on the other end, it's very fantastical and whimsical, and it's good to have that levity. And for a while, I think the DCU lost sight of that. I think it's back on track with Aquaman also. So
there's so much... There's plenty of real world darkness. I don't need it in my movies too. I don't need it. Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong though. At the same time, at the same token, the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, very dark, very gritty. And so as long as you know what you're trying, as long as you know how to do it, you put the right people in charge, the right people in place, then you can do it well. But I think their entire vision for a darker, grittier universe, because the Joker is by itself, that's its own separate baby. But for the whole universe, I know. I think they realize they're going in a different direction. Marvel was just keep, just beating them one movie after another. And so I'm excited for this change of course.
Yeah, and I think it's going to benefit them tremendously. We'll see where it goes with the DCU. Right?
Yeah, and you never forget Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 2 is coming out next year.
Oh, and that's the one where she's in the 1980s.
Yep.
And God,
Wonder Woman.
I cannot
What if she ran into Linda Carter? Just like, of course they're going to try to bring Linda in somehow.
Yeah.
If it's the 80s, obviously
we'll see,
Wonder Woman took place in the 80s too, the show.
Are they going to put her in the shoulder pads too? I'm just not a fan of the shoulder pads.
You and your shoulder pads. It's coming back. The millennials are bringing them back. What's the generation after us? The Gen Z? They'll bring it back somehow.
The Zers, yeah.
Mom jeans are back in style, so why not? Why not bring the shoulder pads back?
That works for me. Yeah. I'm all about being comfortable. But you know who else is baby?
Who else is a baby?
Who else is baby? Oh, I left him in the car.
You left the baby in the car? You can't do that.
Not that baby.
You can't.
Not that baby. I set myself up for that one. Anyways, you know who else is baby? Kylo Ren is baby. Ben Solo is baby.
Yeah.
And we're finding out so much more about him. Really exciting for me. That I wanted to talk about. Yeah. There's this new Age of Resistance comic that just came out. And, we've been getting tidbits about Star Wars and filling in the gaps for this story, this new sequel trilogy. But we just got like a big chunk of information here and a really cool sequence. In the Age of Resistance comics, this one was written by Tom Taylor, and it's all about Kylo Ren, i.e. Ben Solo, his first trainings with Snoke when he first left Luke's island, slaughtered everyone at the academy, and came to be the apprentice of Snoke. Really incredible. We may put up a couple of pictures up here, but it starts off with Snoke holding Kylo over a precipice, over a ledge, and essentially telling him, you fly or you die, kid. Telling him he's full of fear and all of this stuff, and he lets him go, and he falls, and he manages to stop himself before he crashes into these spikes below and all of this. And so Snoke comes down, and Kylo asks him, "Would you have caught me if I wasn't able to catch myself?" And he says something along the lines of, "If you're going to rule by my side, I cannot have you defeated by heights." Yeah. And I'm like, that is so baller. That is so awesome. Two things before I move on with this.
No, I was going to ask, is this whole comic related or dedicated to the training process?
No, it's not. It's various instances of things that happened between the original film and The Rise of Skywalker. So these are filling in the gaps between all three films.
Okay.
So it's really interesting to see what they come up with. And Tom Taylor, he's so adorable. The man who wrote this comic, came up with the concept for it. He's very excited about the whole thing on Twitter and talking about, like, he pitched this idea and he can't believe that they accepted it. And it's basically, yeah. So the continuation of this story after you know, Snoke drops him off the cliff, then they go to Dagobah. And Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, goes into the Cave of Darkness that Luke went into as well when he was training with Yoda.
Yeah.
And what happens there
and that
is
cave's
awesome.
the cave's also a tree, right? The tree of, not the tree of life, but
no, it's connected to one of those forest trees.
Yeah.
Right. Before I dive into that, yeah, Tom Taylor, adorable. Follow him on Twitter. I wanted to ask you about this. So when we were talking about Kylo was able to stop himself from falling and he was able to float and save his own life, that's sort of something a little bit new because we haven't seen like Jedis levitating really, or levitating or flying themselves.
The only time we've seen it is when Luke was using all of his force powers to make a projection of himself when he was fighting Kylo.
Right, and he was kind of floating over the rock.
Over the rock. That's the only time we've seen.
But we haven't seen
really,
like active flying, floating,
right?
And so my question for you is, could this be a clue that Palpatine, that Emperor Palpatine, when he was thrown down that shaft at the end of the Return of the Jedi, could he have saved himself? Could he be alive this entire time?
I think he could have, but I don't think he did. Just for the fact that there was a really big explosion when he reached the very bottom of that. Like that doesn't happen if you're just stopping right before you hit it. And so I think he was capable of doing it, but he didn't, and I think he bit the dust. I think he bit the dust.
He bit the dust?
Yeah, because I've seen some previous videos and theories and books that really go into the mindset of that final scene of when Darth Sidious was electrifying Luke, and you kind of go into his mental state of mind. Like, why didn't Darth Sidious just kill Darth Vader when Vader grabbed him and was taking him and throwing him off the edge? But Darth Sidious was so into his the anger was overcoming and was overwhelming him that he was blinded by the anger, and so that's why he couldn't fight back, only electrifying Vader what he did. But yeah, I think he died. I think he died, and his Force Ghost.
Well, I think he died too. However, I think it could be a little tidbit, a little clue. Like if they were going to pull that kind of a big twist, it's a twist.
Yeah,
that this might be setting that up. And I just think that line that I can't have you defeated by heights. Was Palpatine technically defeated by heights?
And maybe that's why, if we're going with a theory that Snoke is another version or a reincarnation somehow of Darth Sidious,
or maybe
he's saying, that's how I went. I'm not going to let my next apprentice go out the same way I went with a fall from a very high drop.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first test. Okay, let's make sure that you don't go splat at the end.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that defeated me. And so maybe that's why. Maybe that's why he says, I learned from my mistake, and I don't want you going that way. Yeah, that same way too.
I just love that we're getting more depth on the Ben Solo Kylo character.
Yeah.
And he's getting his own comic series also, which is just the rise of Kylo Ren, and we learn how he became the master of the Knights of Ren and all of that. But we'll talk about that later.
I think it's funny though. One quick thing. I can't remember which comedian did or said this, but he said, "Don't you miss when movies just ended, and you didn't get the rest of the backstory? It just ended, and then you used your imagination,
right?
Like, oh, I wonder what happened, or then you make your own plot.
Yeah.
But then, like for example, J.K. Rowling comes back out and then tweets out, "Oh, actually the wizards went to the restroom on the floor, and then they just used their wands to really we didn't need all that stuff. Let it go."
That's how we found out Albus Dumbledore's sexuality. Was after the fact.
And for the most part, that doesn't help the original story. It doesn't add more to the original story. So I love the lore, and I love reading it and learning more about the, again, what the state of mind of what these characters were going through. But at the same token, the same thing is funny. Yeah.
Well,
I like that when movies used to end and you use your imagination.
If you want to fill in the gaps and use your imagination, it's called fan fiction.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of it.
Yeah. No, that's funny though.
Yeah, and fan art and all of that, Tumblr and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Anyways, but continuing on this vein, so the Resistance comics, so they go to Dagobah. They go to the Dagobah. They go to the Cave of Darkness, and as they're getting off, Kylo tries to take his helmet, and Snoke slaps him across the face. He's like, "You can't pretend to be Vader here." It's like, so there's like physical, emotional abuse going on here. Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about this. Anyway, so he goes into the cave. He goes into this Cave of Darkness, and the first thing he encounters is Luke, is a vision of Luke. And he's totally down with it. He's like, yeah, Luke's gonna die. And he starts fighting this vision of Luke, and Snoke is egging him on, and he defeats him, and he cuts him down, and yeah, vision Luke is dead, and Kylo's like, it is done. And Snoke's like, no, it's not. Because what comes out of the darkness, but his actual greatest fear and weakness, his parents.
Han and Leia.
Han and Leia. Where's Han?
I know, this
Han's
is
down there.
is
Han and Leia. That is Han. It's the young Han. It's the new, from the Solo movie.
Yeah.
The not as good Han. Anyways, Han and Leia come out. And he's like, he is totally shaken. He's
shook.
He's totally shook, as the children say. And then he backs up, like from a physical threat almost, and they're reaching out to him, and they're saying, you are loved, your name is Ben. He's like, that's not my name. They're like, yes it is, you are Ben Solo, we love you, come back to us. And it's heart-wrenching, because that's what eventually happens in real life, and he ends up striking down his father in real life.
Now, I'm not sure,
but,
do we want to not ruin this, but do we want to say, does he strike Han and Leia?
I think I think I'd like to talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, if you want to fast forward a little bit, you can fast forward.
No, this is too good.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and Snoke is obviously, aware of what's going on. And you see that Kylo's building up his resilience, and he's like, no, he lights his lightsaber, and you see Han and Leia, that are huddling back, and we're like, oh my God, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. And he starts slashing, and Snoke is like, yes, feed from that anger, but then you see, he was beating up a tree. And he somehow uses his focus to trick Snoke, who is standing outside. He was unable to sever his connection with his parents. He was unable to strike down the vision, but he was still able to trick Snoke into believing that he had, by focusing his thought and his energies and his emotions in that way. And then when Snoke is like, good, my apprentice, yes, I'm going to come down there, show me their dead bodies. And he destroys the entire cave. The cave that has stood for thousands of years on Dagobah, the one that Luke went into. It's gone, reduced to ashes because of Kylo Ren, because he was trying to cover up the fact that he could not indeed strike down his parents. And Snoke's like, okay, that's really great, but I wanted to bring other apprentices here. Like, damn, well, you didn't have to go that far.
I'm impressed, but
well, you didn't have to do that.
Should have asked me first. It's my place.
He says, I wanted to bring other apprentices here, and Kylo's like, you're not going to need another apprentice. And
mic drop.
Exactly, boom, and it ends with Snoke smiling. But it's then that he discovers that he can actually trick Snoke.
Yeah, that's good foreshadowing for The Last Jedi.
How he saves Rey.
Yeah.
And pretending that he is going to kill her. So
that's
I just thought it was so awesome. And it was such a great way to show that kind of development, or that set up that kind of, to set that up for those characters. Yeah. In this way, using an iconic location and all that. And I just love it so much, and I was just freaking out.
Now, I saw one thing. I didn't read or see the whole comic or whatnot, but correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Snoke walking around in the woods in his golden robe?
Yeah.
So that isn't
He's
just
so
like
extra.
So that isn't
He's
like a
so
ceremonial extra. Thing that he wears in the throne room for when he has guests like Rey come in to intimidate them. No, that's his everyday attire. Which is pretty baller.
It is. I bet he doesn't even wash that shit. Like I bet he doesn't even wash that stuff. I bet he just, he throws it out and he gets himself a new gold robe. every single time.
Like a boss.
Yeah, like a boss, because he's just that extra. And so, anyways, that's what happens, James. But that's not the only Star Wars news coming out of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
For those who are waiting with bated breath for the Rise of Skywalker, for the final installment of the trilogy of trilogies, a little bit of concerning news.
What's going on? Lay it down.
You tell me. Tell me if you think this is trouble or not. So we are less than 100 days away from the release of this movie. And they're doing reshoots. They are reshooting entire scenes and entire sequences that require CGI, and so they're going in there and they're fixing CGI as well. That takes time, and we are at the finish line. So, what do you think?
Now, first, do we know which scenes in particular?
We have no idea.
So, no idea which scenes. Now, we do know that in films, when you're making a movie, there are plenty of reshoots. There are instances where you need to tweak the script, but the concerning thing is, we're about 100 days away. That when you're closer to that finish line, that's when you're should be concerned.
It takes time to do CGI.
But at the same time, also, Disney, they are at the pinnacle. They're the peak of producing movies and technology. So if anybody can pull it off, if it was a smaller movie studio, then there may be more concerned.
Point.
But Disney, but again, we could be wrong. We know when Solo was in production, there was big concerns when we learned that the actor who was playing the young Han Solo, that he had an acting coach had to be hired for him.
Yeah. And they redid a lot of the movie. They reshot a tremendous part of that movie.
Though Solo turned out to be a pretty decent Star Wars movie. It turned out to be pretty promising. I know that had a lot of negative news going against it, just for the fact that they were replacing Harrison Ford. But that turned out to be to be a decent movie.
It was a good movie with a good story. It just was not Han Solo.
I wouldn't say it was required or necessary, but it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I agree.
So should there be need for concern? Why not?
Yeah.
But should you?
You know what else had also extensive reshoots? The one that everyone loves, the new Star Wars movie. The
new Star Wars movie?
Oh, it's not that new, but it's got the pew and it's the battle plans and.
Oh, Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Rogue One. I
Wow.
thought we had that poster. We actually do have a small.
I need
Rogue
a
One poster.
snack.
You need a snack.
Yeah, but that movie, Rogue One, also had extensive reshoots, and it's now like one of the best Star Wars movies ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
So
people absolutely love that. So yeah, probably maybe it's not a sure sign of that there might be trouble, or it might just be JJ's style, because from what I've read, he kind of does this a lot. He does a lot of reshoots in order to make it perfect. And of course, there's no other film with this amount of pressure behind it right now. So, I guess it makes sense, but it is just kind of nerve-wracking, with less than 100 days to go. And are they changing, tremendous sequences?
Now, I'd be concerned if they start changing the toys. If they start changing the toys,
oh, gosh.
they start adding more, layers onto Kylo Ren's doll, or they start taking out porgs or pogs or whatever they're called, then that's where the real concern. When you deal with the merchandise, then that's when you know there's big trouble. But
suddenly Rey's got, a submachine gun. It's what is happening?
Yeah, that's a hefty rewrite in the scripts.
Well, it remains to be seen. So hopefully, we are wishing all the best, all the Star Wars fans.
I only want the best for Star Wars.
One last thing, James. What did you watch?
Oh, so this is the review portion of the episode. I watched. Okay, so I wanted to go see a film this week in theaters, something that looks good. Nothing really looks good right now in theaters.
Me too. I didn't really see anything this week.
And so what did I do? I popped on the Amazon Prime, and it turns out there was a movie that was in theaters 3 months ago, but I'm not sure. I didn't really hear about it. So maybe in one of those smaller indie films.
All right, James. It's okay. You need a snack?
No, okay. So
I have snacks.
This is even funnier because Mindy Kaling, she wrote Late Night and she's Indian, so I think that was just a faux pas.
Yeah, we're sorry. That was just that's not why he was saying.
Anyway,
that.
it's an indie film that came out in June. I don't think it did well or was mass distributed. Either way, it just came onto Amazon Prime in September this month, and I watched it, and it's pretty good. It's a comedy. I think it's a pretty solid comedy with some pretty solid laughs, and I wasn't too surprised because Mindy Kaling, she wrote this film. This is the first film she's written, but she has writing experience before. She's written for her previous show, The Mindy Project.
Yeah.
She's written for The Office as well. But this is and she's also written 2 books too. No big deal. But this is the first time she wrote a movie.
Brilliant. She's just brilliant.
And yeah, that brilliance clearly came out in the scripts. It clearly came out in the acting. Of course, Mindy's always great, but right across from her is Emma Thompson. No big deal.
Yeah.
A 2-time Academy Award winner, Emma Thompson, Dame Emma Thompson. So
Is she a dame?
She is a dame. She was recently damed. Because I know when you're knighted. So is that? I don't know what that means.
We really need to get lunch after this. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a really good movie. The first 2 acts are very solid, are so good. What's
it about?
Oh, yeah, that'd be good to know, huh? So the synopsis of this one. Legendary late-night talk show host Catherine Newberry, played by Emma Thompson, her world is turned upside down when she hires the only female staff writer on her show, Molly Patel, which is played by Mindy Kaling, who comes from a chemical plant background.
Chemical plant?
Yeah, she's a new hire for the show after there were concerns raised of a lack of diversity. Emma Thompson, she's a late night host. She's been a talk show host for nearly 3 decades, but the ratings are going down. The show it's not what it used to be, and so they have to bring in some new blood. And a part of that new blood is Mindy Kaling's character, Molly Patel. She's originally intended to smooth over diversity concerns, but the decision to hire her, it's funny because I know, yeah, it's funny. Let me go through I'm sorry, I'm losing track right now. I did not eat breakfast, so my brain's kind of wonky. But let's go over the pros. Solid comedy, solid laughs, great chemistry between Mindy and Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
They're really fun together. Also in this movie is John Lithgow. John Lithgow plays Emma Thompson's husband. Yeah. And honestly, their chemistry is the best in the movie. John Lithgow, he's used sparingly, but the scenes that he's in, I think he steals the scenes, the scenes that he's in. I would actually
That's why they had to sprinkle him in.
Yeah, I would actually love to see Emma Thompson's character and John Lithgow's character in a dramatic movie, because even though this is a comedy, they do have dramatic moments and heart and gut-wrenching moments as well, including John Lithgow's character. And honestly, between watching their back and forth, I would love to see their own movie. But this movie is a great movie itself. There's some cons. The one thing I had issue with was Emma Thompson's character. Even though she was very funny and she's a great actress, the character description, even though she's a late-night talk show host, her character is seen or described as being cold, as being distant, as not being really warm or welcoming, which is the complete opposite of what a talk show host would be. You would think that you would know their personality, you would know their character when it comes across on TV, but apparently Emma's talk show, or her character, Catherine, she's a little more standoffish. She's more of a perfectionist, and so that character, I don't know if it really sat well with me. In the context of the whole movie put together, it is really funny, but just that little, I don't know. I thought it was an oxymoron of a character description or character traits. But overall, hey, it's on Prime right now, Amazon Prime. It's about an hour and a half long.
You finally watched a short movie.
Yeah, I finally watched a short movie. I think you'll enjoy it. Mindy, she brings back some of her previous coworkers. One of her coworkers, Ike Barinholtz from the Mindy Project.
Yeah.
He plays one of the antagonists of the film, a comedian who is like in line to take Catherine's late night show host position. And so he brings some good laughs in there as well. Another actress from the Office, Amy Ryan, she played Michael Scott's love interest character.
Well, I love that they're addressing, the lack of diversity and bringing that in and showing that juxtaposition and how that creates so much fun in the story and in life.
Yeah, in life.
Let's get more.
Yeah, but for Mindy Kaling, for this being her first movie she's written, I think is very promising.
Yeah.
I think it shows that
I'm so happy for her.
Yeah, and I'm actually really excited for, if she were to write or maybe even direct a film in the future, I think it would be in good hands. So, late night.
And we would go see it.
Yeah, we would go see it on Hub on Hollywood. Late nights on Amazon Prime. Go check it out. Yeah.
Excellent. We talked about so much, James.
Yeah, we always talk about so much on this show. So much great things. Yeah.
And then by the end of it, we're like, oh, God.
I know.
Oh,
we should have ate before.
We really should have.
We need calories. No, but thank you so much for listening and watching this episode of The Hub on Hollywood.
And listening to this episode of The Hub on Hollywood.
Of course.
So again, like us, subscribe, share, tweet, all that jazz. If you're listening to us on iHeart, check us out on YouTube, The Hub on Hollywood. If you're looking at our lovely faces on YouTube, check us out on the iHeartRadio app. Take us with you wherever you go. Yeah. On the go and on the way to the theater. Should I listen? Should I watch this movie? Should I not? Oh, what did James say? Oh, what does Jamie think about what's the latest Star Wars stuff? Yeah, because we're crazy like that.
We're nerds. We love movies like you love movies. We love shows like you love shows. So tune in next week. We'll be back.
Presumably.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.